Ryan Marshall has been trying to track down some panthers for weeks. Ryan, why is it so hard?
Billy, this is a sign that visitors to the Everglades will see on the roads inside the park. It warns them to beware of crossing panthers. But it would actually be a miracle if anyone were to see a panther in the wild, because currently there are about only 200 of them left. Hidden in the Everglades and Big Cypress National Preserve is the remaining population of Florida's big cat. The Florida panther once roamed across the entire southeastern United States, but the panther's habitat has been destroyed through urban development and is now only a small fraction located in southern Florida. And over the last couple hundred years, the apex predator's population decreased to around 20 individuals left in the wild in the 1970s. The small population and limited gene pool forced biologists and conservationists to take some extreme measures to ensure the species' survival.
And we made the very difficult decision to bring in 6 female Texas cougars. We released them in the wild. We let them breed one time, and then we removed them.
And while these efforts have helped raise the population to around 200 wild Florida panthers, the species is still considered one of the most endangered mammals in North America.
They're so saturated in the existing preserved lands now, and they've got pressures coming, like I said, from development on all sides. They need to move northward, and they need to be able to move northward safely into other areas, other large forest tracts and preserves.
As development in Florida has boomed over the last 50 years, the urban sprawl has led to small side roads being built through Florida panther territory. And as a result, road collisions are the #1 cause of death for Florida's big cat.
It's basically the areas around Naples continuing to expand eastward. And as these small roads that used to not get much traffic, when they build more and more housing developments, all of a sudden they have a lot of traffic on them. And you have panthers that are growing in numbers, and they're moving that way too. And those areas where those roads overlap, they have no protections to keep panthers from running out onto the road like I-75 does.
For decades, the Florida panther breeding range has been limited to south of the Caloosahatchee River, leading to saturated territories. But in 2020, the first female panther and her kittens were seen north of the river. Biologists and conservationists have proposed a plan to allow more panthers and other endangered wildlife to safely move north of the river through the use of the Florida Wildlife Corridor, a web of private and public connected lands across the state that secures access for roaming wildlife.
That corridor is what enables animals to travel throughout the state uninterrupted. And we're working with all kinds of people, Florida ranchers, cattle ranchers, agricultural people, to maintain that corridor. People think about the ranchers and the agricultural people as kind of like the enemies of conservation. In reality, they're not. They're providing huge conservation easements that allow these animals, from the Florida panther to deer to bear, to be able to move up and down the state.
And many of these ranchers are strong supporters of the corridor and the protection of Florida's wildlife.
It's not all about the panther. It's about where the panther lived. If we save the panther, we have to save his habitat.
But some ranchers believe they are not being paid enough compensation in cases where panthers prey on cattle and other livestock.
We can't just save the panther and forget all the people that are going to sustain that food supply for that panther.
The Florida Wildlife Corridor Act was signed in 2021, and an expansion to the bill has been approved in 2023. And biologists and conservationists hope the corridor might be the solution in saving the Florida panthers.
If we can get these ranchers to understand, we get these panthers to start migrating north of the Caloosahatchee, and that panther range extends, I think the panthers have a positive future here in Florida.
For UMTV, I'm Ryan Marshall.